Welcome to the Ultimate Anime Realms tier list, where we dive into the top units you absolutely need to get your hands on. If you've been playing this AA clone, you probably know by now that the game is packed with legendary, mythic, and secret tier units, making it a huge grind to figure out which ones are actually worth your time. But don't worry, we've got you covered. In this video, we'll break down the best of the best so you can focus your rolls on the units that will take your team to the next level. Let's be real, we've all rolled for those epic units only to end up with something that's barely worth keeping. But with this tier list, you'll know exactly who to aim for so you can avoid the frustration and start dominating the game. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these tips will help you build a powerhouse team and leave your competition in the dust. Stick around because we're about to get into the top tier units that'll make your Anime Realms experience way more exciting. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking units in Anime Realms. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Luffy, Kid Naruto, Vegetables, Krillo, Pikoko, Sanjay, Goku, and Geihan. Alright, let's dive into some of the units in Anime Realms that might not make the S tier cut, but still have their own unique charm. First up, we have Luffy. Now, Luffy's a bit of a mixed bag. While he has decent DPS, his small range and AoE make him less than ideal in some situations. He's kind of like that guy who can get the job done, but you might wish he had a bit more reach to really make an impact. Still, if you're in a pinch, he can help out. Next, let's talk about Kid Naruto. If you're into ranged units with solid DPS, this guy's got you covered. He's got decent range and his damage output isn't bad either. The downside, his AoE is a bit small, so while he'll hit hard, you'll need to position him carefully to make the most of his attacks. But hey, if you're strategic, he can pack quite the punch. Moving on to Vegetables, who's like a rare version of Gahan, but just a little better. His DPS is decent for a rare unit, and while he's not going to blow anyone away, he can hold his own in most fights. If you've got him, he's definitely a solid pick to throw into your team, especially if you're looking for someone who can do a bit more than Geihan. Not bad at all. Now, let's not forget about Pikoko. This rare heal unit has some impressive range, and while his DPS isn't the highest, his ability to hit from afar makes him a valuable asset. You might not always see him at the top of the rankings, but he's got a pretty unique niche that could be useful when you need a ranged unit that's just a bit more reliable. And there you have it. A quick breakdown of some of the C tier units in Anime Realms. They might not be the flashiest or the strongest, but each one has a little something special that can still turn the tide in your favor when you play your cards right. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Genos, Stork, Frieza, Killua, Gon, Makunuchi, Kid Sosuke, and Ichigo. Let's talk about some B tier units in Anime Realms. These guys may not be the absolute top picks, but trust me, they've got their perks. If you're looking for solid performers that won't break your bank or your heart, then this is where you'll want to look. Starting with Genos, this unit is a great choice for those of you who like to hit hard from a distance. He's got excellent range and a massive AoE, making him perfect for crowd control. Plus, his DPS for an epic unit is pretty solid, so he's definitely worth considering. Next up, we've got Stork, and this guy is all about efficiency. He's super cheap to upgrade for the amount of DPS he provides. With his huge AoE and range, he can clear large groups of enemies without draining your resources too much. However, if you're someone who needs a bit more punch, Frieza might be more your speed. While he has a high range and decent DPS, his AoE is very small, so you'll need to place him strategically if you want him to shine. Killua is another unit you'll want to check out if you're on the hunt for something cheap but effective. He's got decent DPS and a huge AoE, though his short range might leave you needing to keep him close to the action. On the other hand, Gon offers great DPS with decent range, though the upgrades for this epic can get pretty pricey. He's an investment, but if you've got the resources, he can be a powerhouse. Let's wrap things up with Makunuchi, who brings in decent DPS and some multi-hit action. His AoE is short and line-shaped, so he's great for focusing down narrow pathways or clustered enemies. If you're just starting out though, Ichigo is your best bet. He's got the highest DPS of any starter unit, making him a fantastic pick for those early waves. Even with his small AoE and range, his raw power will help you get through the toughest early game situations. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Yunu, Golden Frieza, Yuji, Yurio, and Rose. Alright, let's dive into some of the A tier units in anime realms. These guys are solid picks if you're looking for power and efficiency, but they each bring something unique to the table. So, let's start with Yunu. Yunu might not be the most flashy, but don't sleep on her. She has decent DPS and a solid AoE, and the best part? She's super cheap to upgrade. The downside? She can't evolve, which limits her long-term potential. But if you need a reliable unit that won't break the bank, Yunu's got you covered. Next up is Golden Frieza. Now, this guy is an absolute beast when it comes to range and AoE. He's perfect for clearing out those big waves of enemies with ease. Not only that, but his burn DPS also adds a solid layer of damage over time, making him a fantastic heal unit. He's a bit on the pricey side to upgrade, but trust me, it's worth it. If you're looking for a unit that can handle large crowds with style, Golden Frieza's your man. Then we've got Yuji, and man, does this guy pack a punch. His AoE is insane, his range is top notch, and his DPS is nothing short of impressive. But here's the catch, he's pretty expensive to upgrade. You'll need to invest some serious resources if you want to unlock his full potential, but if you're willing to put in the time and effort, Yuji will definitely pull his weight in your lineup. Last but not least is Yurio. This guy is a total powerhouse with huge range and AoE. Not only that, but he deals some serious legendary DPS, which is awesome for taking down tough enemies. What really makes Yurio stand out though is how cheap he is to upgrade, making him an excellent value for your resources. If you want a powerhouse that won't drain your resources, Yurio is definitely a top choice. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Shadow Atomic, Rage Brulo, Sasuke Awakened, Aizo Power, Goju Supreme, and Shanks Haki. Alright, let's dive into some of the absolute powerhouses in anime realms. These are the units that make enemies quiver in fear and will turn the tide in your favor, no matter the situation. First up, we have Shadow Atomic. This unit is a beast with incredible range and DPS, and once you evolve and upgrade it, it becomes a hybrid that delivers full AoE damage, absolutely devastating. If you're looking to dominate from a distance, this one's a must-have. Next on the list, we've got Rage Brulo, and let me tell you, this guy is a game changer. His range is insane, and when fully upgraded, his AoE becomes full screen, just obliterating anything in his path. But what really sets him apart is his insane DPS, making him the highest overall DPS unit in the game. If you want a unit that does it all, massive damage and coverage, Rage Brulo is your guy. Then we have Sasuke Awakened. While he might not have the longest range, his AoE and DPS more than make up for it. He's also the go-to ground burn unit in the meta, meaning he's perfect for taking down those pesky tanky enemies. If you need to deal with crowds on the ground, Sasuke is a solid pick, just be mindful of his low range. Aizo Power is another unit you should keep an eye on. With insanely high DPS, incredible range, and an AoE that can clear out large waves of enemies, Aizo's the total package. He's got that perfect balance of power and coverage, and when you need someone to dish out some serious damage, Aizo's definitely someone you want on your team. And last but definitely not least, we have Goju Supreme and Shanks Haki. Goju is a support unit, but don't let that fool you. He locks down enemies with time manipulation, has a massive range, and dishes out solid DPS. His AoE is a little on the thinner side, but he more than makes up for it in utility. Meanwhile, Shanks Haki brings full AoE stuns into play, plus high DPS that will make you feel like you're unstoppable. Both of these units pack a punch, whether you're looking for support or total chaos on the battlefield. These units are the true titans of anime realms, each bringing something unique to the table. Whether it's DPS, range, AoE, or stuns, these units will leave your enemies in the dust. So, if you've got any of these in your lineup, you're in for a good time. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Goku Super Free, Lao, Jiro Overheated, Toju Mercenary, Enol Drums, Ichi Dusk, and Getu Master of Curses. Alright, let's talk about the heavy hitters in anime realms, because if you're playing at a high level, you're gonna want to know about these absolute beasts. First off, we've got Goku Super Free, and trust me, this unit is a monster. It's the only mythic heal unit in the game, and the range and AoE are just insane. You'll be shredding through crowds with ease, and the best part, it's surprisingly cheap to upgrade. If you want a reliable unit that just dominates from a distance, Goko's your guy. Now let's talk about Lao. If you're looking for raw damage, this one's a game changer. When you get that Surgeon's buff active, Lao's DPS shoots through the roof, making him hands down the best for boss fights. And it's not just the damage, the range and AoE are pretty impressive too. He's one of those units that makes you feel like you're in control, no matter the situation. Next up, we've got Jiro Overheated. This unit is all about that crazy burn damage. If you're stacking DPS, Jiro's a solid choice with his high burn output, but yeah, his range and AoE are a little lacking compared to the others, so you'll want to use him strategically, especially when you need to focus on those smaller, annoying mobs that just keep coming at you. If you're a fan of bleed damage, Toju Mercenary is your go-to. With his high DPS and excellent range, he's a beast in most situations. The real standout here is his ability to bleed enemies dry, making him perfect for those long battles where you need to chip away at health steadily. The downside, his AoE is pretty small, so you'll have to position him well to get the most out of him. And then we've got Enolu Drums. This unit is a total meta pick for pretty much all modes. The DPS is insane, the range and AoE are top tier, and this guy just has a way of handling whatever comes his way. If you're looking for a unit that can handle everything from wave clear to boss battles, Enol is definitely worth investing in. Whether you're grinding through a tough level or pushing your way through endgame content, he's there for you. Finally, we can't forget about Geitu Master of Curses. This guy is an absolute beast when it comes to boss DPS, hands down the highest in the game, but what really sets him apart is that he's got a hybrid role. Even though the game lists him as a ground unit, he works like a hybrid, and that makes him even more powerful. His summons health scales with the damage you deal, which just makes him so versatile across all game modes. If you've got him, you're definitely in a good spot to take on whatever challenges come your way. So there you have it. These are the units that can make a real difference in your Anime Realms journey. Whether you need insane range, high DPS, or versatility across modes, these units are the ones to look out for. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Speedcart, Al Idol, Yukiya, Koichi, Greybeard, Orwin, and Utuhime. Let's talk about some of the top tier support units in Anime Realms, and trust me, you'll want these in your lineup. First up is Speedcart. This little powerhouse is hands down the best farm unit in the game. I mean, if you're looking to stack up some serious resources, Speedcart's your go-to, but it doesn't stop there. It's also a meta support for pretty much every game mode, so you'll want to make sure Speedcart's always in your team. Seriously, no farm setup feels complete without this one. Next up is Al Idol, and let me tell you, this unit is an absolute game changer. It's not just a good support, it's the meta support. What's even better? It increases the damage of all your units while also slashing their upgrade costs by a solid 15%. So, if you're trying to build an unstoppable army without draining your resources, Al Idol is going to be a huge help. That extra damage boost, it really takes your squad to the next level. If you're looking for something with a little more utility, Yukiya is where it's at. This unit brings full AoE freeze attacks, which is just chef's kiss when you need to lock down enemies in a pinch. It's a strong hybrid support too, so you get both offense and defense packed into one unit. Whether you're freezing enemies to control the battlefield or dealing with big waves of foes, Yukiya's got you covered. Now, if you need a solid support that does its job well, but doesn't come without its costs, Greybeard's a decent pick. This unit curses enemies, making them take 20% more magic damage. That's pretty spicy for your mages. It's not the flashiest, but it's definitely reliable. And then there's Orwin, who's like the ultimate buffer. When upgraded, it buffs physical damage for nearby units. Plus, Orwin's summons are strong, so it's a great unit for any summoner-focused strategy. But hey, if you want something cheap and easy to manage, Utuhime might be your best bet. She increases the damage of surrounding units, but be warned, her range is a little small, and once she's placed, she's a permanent resident on the field. Still, for the price, it's hard to beat her value. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.